Right then, welcome everyone. It's Beanster here. I'll be your commentator for the night. It's 21st of August and the year is the crappy 2020 year, which we'll all like to forget, I think. So welcome to this evening's Friday evening racing. This is the second in a 4-part series, single car series, and we'll go on to that in a minute or two. We're halfway through qualifying. You've seen some times already getting set there. British and Gabsy yet to set times, but we are at Road America. So the first race last week was in Suzuka, and now we're in Road America, a very long circuit. So this is actually quite an old circuit, about 65 years old, Road America, made in 1955. It's a fabulous place. I'm sure many of us have played it in a number of different sims. The list of video games that this track's been in is endless. It's somewhere between Milwaukee and Green Bay in the US. It's not a FIA Grade 1 circuit, so it can't really host any of the Formula 1 Grand Prix racing, but it's a FIA Grade 2 circuit. Very long. It's just over 4 miles in length with 14 turns. Some long straights and a couple of 90-degree left-rights and a very fast corner called the Kink. There's some good opportunities for getting a little bit of a slipstream up the front straight and up the slightly back straight, and if you're courageous into turn 12. We'll do a tour of the track in a second. Lots and lots of different race types race here. Lots of American race cars like NASCAR, IndyCar, American Le Mans Series is held here. There's a number of different Grand Am races. Interestingly, on the statistics here, when I realized it's actually only had one main configuration since it was designed back in '55. The average speed of the winner in 1956 was 73.8 miles an hour. It was only 82 miles per hour average speed in 2020, so that's progress for you, eh? Great looking circuit, very, very, quite broad, quite wide, some good runoff areas, good opportunities to get alongside somebody. But it's actually a really challenging braking circuit. You'll see as we go around, there's a couple of very intense braking areas. And let's go find somebody who's looking like they're finishing their outlap. Anywhere near the start-finish straight. There you go, there's my man. Let's follow Baba Ganoush as he goes along the front straight here. So this is the main straight. Quite a long straight and extremely straight. Very long pit lane off the right there. And he'll enter turn 1, romantically named turn 1. Can you believe that after this there's a slight jink here? That's actually called turn 2 that we just drove past, believe it or not, into turn 3. This is easy to get too far out here. See extra concrete on the outside of there, many drivers taking advantage of it. Flat out all the way along here. It's possible to get a slipstream up here. You're slightly blindsided as you come over the crest into a slight left-hander here, which is not numbered, called the Marine Sweep. Deep braking into turn 5, you can always find yourself with somebody up, but again you can see there's concrete on the inside and outside of that corner, giving plenty of opportunity to broaden the corner. We enter turn 6, again another 90-degree left-hander as Baba Ganoush puts in a faster sector 1. That's turn 7, fairly fast, slight lift, and then we're down Hurry Downs. It's kind of comically named, I'm sure it was funny at the time. Into a left-hander, number 8 that is, and then round this carousel, which is surprising. Keep feathering the throttle until you finally realise you can boot it out of the carousel and into turn 10. We're not doing the crazy chicane on the left there, and this is the Kink, which if you get it right, you can cross the curb and keep it pretty much flat there, depending on car type. This is Kettle Bottoms. Very fast again. If you've got an advantage, you could get under the right hand side here into Canada Corner number 12, and then up Thunder Valley into the Bill Mitchell bend, this left hander here, which is turn 13. Very easy to get a little bit off here, trying to keep the pace up, and then a slightly off camber right-hander, turn 14 into the straight, and that's one lap around Road America. Great circuit. So let's take a little look at where we are. We're basically after one of the series so far. We've had one race so far in Suzuka. It was a crazy race. There was 12 starters. British won that one. Even though he threw it off on the final lap, he still had enough distance on Michales, who had been pressing the lead for much of the race. Actually, the two were pretty closely matched in terms of their gaps. In second place, Michales was in second. Madal was in third place, having been in second, got to the back of the grid and spent the rest of the hour chasing back into podium position. So that was a great race. Charger, a steady race. He started in 10th, made it up nicely through the pack into 4th position. And then we had Varley in 5th, Millman in 6th, who had some early exciting issues with other drivers and took a lot of damage, but just hobbled it home. But Millman in 6th place was the last actual finisher of the race because Cos ran out of fuel. Jason Burley broke an engine on lap 2, and Visa got disconnected during qualifying, which I'm sure he was upset about. So actually we lost 6 races out of the 12, leaving only half of the field. We ended up with Alwyn in 8th, Marcus in 9th and Dyson 10th. You'll see on the list on the left there a few new names, a few different names for this race. It looks like it's a battle at the top for quali position in number 1 between Dirk Gretschel and Visa. Very closely matched. That's just under 0.2 of a second between the two, separating the two, with Bab Ganoush a little way behind them. Field is spread, so what we're looking at is British here has not put a lap in, so he's coming here as the current championship leader, and he's watching tally, or he's probably playing on Microsoft Flight Simulator. We'll see. But we have 13 cars now in quali. Dirk Gretschel, Visa, Baba Ganoush, Marco, Madal, Cos, Varley, Ellis, Charger, Gabsy, Burley, British and Michaelis just joined us. Michaelis, and yet to put quali in. We might just make it round the track. Let's have a look. Is he on circuit? He's on circuit. So his opportunity to do the Seb Vettel rock up, set a blistering lap. But of course, I'm talking about the Seb Vettel that had a Red Bull, not the Seb Vettel that has a Ferrari. All right, these are 60-minute races, 20-minute qualies, and there is a mandatory pit stop. So every driver has to jump into the pits, and it's easy to overspeed in this pit lane because you're effectively coming up the straight. So you must make sure you hit your braking point to get speed correct into the pits. And in the mandatory pit stop, at least 2 tyres have to be changed. So there's no real advantage. It's just a good strategic addition to the racing as we close out this final section of quali. 1 minute 55 to go. Probably just get round here. Michaelis, I think this is his outlap. Can't tell. Yeah, it's his outlap. So let's follow Michaelis, see if he can get himself in a competition at the top of the circuit with 1 minute and 40 to go. British has just put in his first time, and that's placed him in 6th place. He's 2.5 seconds from Dirk Gretschel, who's currently our pole sitter. Visa 0.18 of a second behind the pole sitter. Then there's a half-second gap to Baba Ganoush, about another second to RWB Marco, about 0.4 of a second to Madal, and about 0.6 of a second to British. So the front two look extremely closely matched at this stage. And I'd say there's a good spread of times then across the board. So the pack, I think, from 6 downwards could get quite tightly packed during this race if they're matching each other's times. Pedro's just gone pink for sector 1, 0.16 of a second up on the previous sector best. Looking promising. Looking like a really strong lap here. Let's go on board. I thought you could still cut across the line before the time, but it looks like that's not the case, which puts Dirk Gretschel there at the top. Let's get a screen grab of that. So Pedro turned up a little bit too late, maybe had some technical issues or other issues at home. Couldn't get on earlier, but he was looking like he was going to snatch that pole position, but didn't manage to squeeze in before the cut-off point, which gives us Dirk Gretschel, pole sitter, Vizar in second, Babaganoush in third, Marco in fourth, Maral in fifth, British in sixth, Cos in seventh, Varley eighth, Shane Ellis in ninth, Charger in 10th, Gabsy in 11th, Justin Burley in 12th, and Pedro at the back. Given his sector times, I expect Pedro to be pressing hard through the field, I guess, in the first couple of laps of this race, but we'll see. Anything can happen when you're in the pack. Like I said last week, 50% attrition rate, which left 6 drivers with a lot of points on the table for the championship to fight it out. There's the split. I said this last week. Drivers who want to sit, take the opportunity to go get another drink, go visit the loo, and then there's others that just want to go nuts and get their final lap and a half in. So I guess newcomers for this race in this series compared to last week, maybe couldn't made it. We have Dirk Gretschel, first race in the series, Babaganoush, Shane Ellis, Gabsy, all joining us new. So a number of new drivers for this series on a Friday night. Always a nice way to start the weekend, I think. Yeah, this Mercedes AMG, kind of an iconic car, one of the cars that really brought the this form of kind of racing through into DTM. Very much popularised it back in the 90s. It was a great car, V6, about 490 brake horsepower, 1100 or so kilograms, 1200 kilograms for the car itself. Very little assists in the car in terms of stability, ABS, traction control. So you're pretty much you and car on the road. Very well balanced, very low ride, very stiff. Not a great lover of curbs, but incredibly grippy car. But as you can see, likes to wiggle its tail. Looking for a clean start from the guys tonight. It's a long old run into the first corner along the Road America straight. Very easy to get excited into this first corner as the red lights go. And we're off. Great start. Unfortunately, not such a great start from Babaganoush. Seemed to be losing a bit of traction there, but it looks to me like Vizar might have got the run on Gretschel into this first corner, but defending well already. Showing his nose for the first corner, probably play itself safe for the first corner as everybody starts to stream through. We'll pick the team up, pick the racers up as they come around the corner. see if there's any other incidents. Nice and clean. Oh, that was a nice aggressive passing effort there. I think that was Phil Varley starting to put a move on Baba Ganoush up the inside there. Great stuff. Phil Varley makes a move. Baba Ganoush a bit shaky off the start as Vizar takes the lead from Dirk Gretschel with Madal right on the back here. If you remember last week, Madal made a great progressive start off in the first lap, only to have issues in the first couple of 3 more laps after that. But this is Vizar into turn number 5 with Dirk Gretschel behind him, Madal, Marco, Varley, Baba Ganoush, Charger, Michaelis. Michaelis already making 5 places in the first 2 laps. I probably should have been watching him. Ellis, British, Gabsy, Cos and Burley. So British was in 6th, now in 10th. So dropping back here, our current championship leader, as Vizar comfortably gets a half second, quarter second. No, that's rubbish, isn't it? That's 0.1 of a second gap on Dirk Gretschel. Marco pressuring Madal into the carousel here. Not a great place to try anything here. Just keep yourself focused on your own line and make sure you're the first one on the throttle. As the pack looks interesting at the back there. Phil Varley still holding off Baba Ganoush. Charger pressuring Baba Ganoush, actually a little bit of off track as everyone extends the width of the track there. And Pedro already pushing. So Pedro on the back of Charger, the yellow car behind the other yellow car. And he looks like he's going to put it up the inside of Charger, and that's very well positioned. Just keeps it safe. Charger gives him enough space to get it through there and defends the line for as we go forward. So Michaelis has already made it up to position number 7 from the start of the grid. Vizar, meanwhile, half a second ahead of Dirk Gretschel, and less than a second between the front 3 drivers here with Madal in 3rd position. But let's switch back as Charger is still pressuring Michaelis up the straight here. Michaelis looks like he's going to make a move now on Baba Ganoush, who was the loser out of that first lap, actually. A very slow start, very cautious into the first couple of corners. And Pedro keeps this safe, which he does, and great driving by the pair of them. They knew each other were there, and that's how racing should be. Really well done. Pedro now just placing his moves as he goes up through the field here. Charger slightly being dropped behind, and you can see Shane is a little bit too wide there on the outside with BGB British tracking him. So British is starting to make his way back up. He was 6th, he made it back down to 10th, and he's recovering now. So probably just getting into his groove, and they're going 3 wide into turn 5 again. Always an interesting place to try and put a move on, and that actually was really well done as Shane makes a move. Gabsy, actually, that's Gabsy on the back now. Gabsy pressing British, and at the front it looks like Dirk is starting to put some pressure on Vizar at the front. Not really happy to have relinquished his pole position, and these two I think are going to have a ding-dong for the rest of this evening. Remember, this is a 60-minute race. We're only 4 minutes in. It would be foolish to get yourself caught out this early in the race, albeit there's plenty of time to recover. But you want to just make sure you're keeping road position as well as you can. So this is Varley. Varley's running wide. I think he must have missed a braking point there, and he's got caught out by not 1 but 2 drivers as Gabsy makes the move. So Gabsy now moving up into 9th place. So little count back here. Vizar, Dirk Gretschel, Marco has passed Madal. So Marco's made his way up to 3rd, leaving Madal in 4th now. So with Pedro all over his backside as well. So now we're starting to get some pressure into the 3rd, 4th, 5th positions here, as Madal drops a place to 4th and Pedro starts to put the pressure on. So Pedro, from the back of the circuit, could already see on this front straight the leaders, which will give him nothing but incentive to keep putting a move on all of these guys. Let's see if he can make a move on Madal into the braking zone, into turn 1. Brake for water. Well, he's showing himself up the inside. He's going for it. That's extremely late braking and very, very cautious, and rightly so by Madal. No tangles, no need for it. Pedro's lap time looks like it was going to be pretty quick given his first sector 1 and sector 2 times we saw in quali, as he continues to make his moves up into the field. So Pedro now in 4th, pressuring for 3rd already. Great driving here so far. A little bit further back down in the field, you see Gabsy here pressuring BGB British, who is on the back of Charger. So we've got Charger in the yellow, with British in the red going on the outside of him, even though Charger made a defensive line. That's great braking there by British. If he can make that stick, That's really great, but Charger's making sure that there's no space for a second overtake as he keeps the inside line here, and make sure that Gabsy has to be patient as Gabsy dabs the brake before trying the fast right-hander. Not really a good passing place that into into 7 as we go hurry downs into corner number 8. Great racing so far. No spins, no offs, nobody's in the wall, nobody's in the pit. I shouldn't say that really, should I? Because what will happen is everyone will go panning off. Great racing though. Maral in 5th, starting to pressure Marco. These two had swapped positions last lap, so clearly they're focusing on each other. Migueles is ahead of them, with Dirk Gretschel ahead and Vizar up the front. So a couple of great races going on here as Charger pressures British. Trying to maybe make the point that that place never should have been his, and he's starting to drive it, but he's keeping Gabsy at bay at the moment, Charger. Back in 8th position here. So some different overtakes already happening. So a good shuffling of the pack within the first. We're on lap 4 already. These are 2-minute laps or 2-minute 8-second laps. So far, best time has been put in by Pedro, who has a 2:07.5 compared to Vizar's 2:07.8. So 0.3 of a second delta between the fastest times here, and that's position 3 driver to position 1 driver, which does indicate if you can keep up that type of pace, we're going to have a really interesting 3-way fight at the front. As we go back down the field to have a look at Gabsy in 9th place, pushing back on Charger. So British is slightly dropping Charger here, British in red, Charger in yellow, Gabsy in black. And it looks like Gabsy is starting to place the car in preparation for a move. He's certainly making his presence known, but actually no, British isn't dropping Charger as he gets a little wobble on. Oh, and not a wobble. Not a wobble for Gabsy, who goes backwards, but great etiquette. He's waiting patiently. There's no point in driving into somebody else to make that happen. Let's take a look up the field. So Gabsy will be frustrated with that. He's dropped from what was 7th down to 12th. Justin Burley at the back in 13th, and Koz and Varley making their fight happen in 11th and 10th place. No way you're getting away, Charger. British. Charger's on you. And he's really got a great exit there. Wow, really great exit. He's definitely making himself known here as he goes on the outside. Good defence here from British. And who's going to have the courage on the brakes? It looks like British is going to cover. There's no room for Charger there, and no point in challenging at that point. So that was a really good exit. I think he must have had a little bit more of a push through kink in order to get that kind of drive, but he's definitely showing British that he's there. That looks like an interesting match between the two of them as we slide up the field into 6th place, fighting. This is Baba Ganoush fighting Maral now. He looks like he's got a drag up this straight as well. Probably going to go late. No defence here by the look of it from Maral. No need, as Baba Ganoush keeps his place there in 6th place. So taking a look back at the front here, we have Vizar. I can't do that because these two are still at it. This is Charger and British again, still making themselves. This is the on-track race to be watching right now, as Charger continues to make his presence known right behind British here. I think British will keep the defensive line on the left-hand side here. Very difficult to outbrake and go on the outside, but that was the move that British played on Charger before. So, and we have somebody backwards there, and that looks to me like that is Shane going backwards. Maybe not. No. Think Bennett. Yeah, moving on. Charger still pressuring British here, but it looks to me like British is on the back of Baba Ganoush as well. So great looking race here between British, Charger and Baba Ganoush, as Vizar pretty much makes a 2-second gap on Dirk Gretschel. Pedro only 1.5 seconds behind Dirk Gretschel, so they're closing up to be a pack, a little bit distanced at the moment as we watch these guys go through the kink, with Baba Ganoush going very wide on that, which will give opportunities for these two to catch up. So British again not needing to defend at this point, had enough gap on Charger. Again, Baba Ganoush a little bit wide there. I think he's lost a bit of time in front here. Good to watch the race from Charger's point of view here, and you can see how enticing it can get when a driver in front of you makes a mistake and you feel your opportunities are coming. This looks like British's moment now. He's going on the inside. He got the drive, but he might have lost a bit of traction on that exit. They are wing to wing. This is front stage seats here to watch this. It looks to me like British has already made this pass. He's got a nose in front here, but he's keeping a good wide distance here. You think he'd squeeze over, and he does squeeze late and makes a nice move there. Great work, nice and clean. Charger will be fancying his chance now as this race continues to bubble. Watching in this view makes me want to just get out of the commentary box and go and jump on the server. Great racing. Nice tight racing here. Let's take a look at British on his wing. As we see the move being made on the outside there, well closed off. Charger's taking an opportunity here now. He'd slide up the inside if he can make that stick. This is a tough one to break into. Keeps it safe. Oh, and that's put him off. So unfortunately, out of that race, that three-way goes Baba Ganoush, who just lost traction there, trying to defend the position. Probably hit the brakes too hard with a little bit of steering input. And that's given British and Charger some free space to just go at it again between each other. Meanwhile, Gabsy, who I think had made a little bit of an error earlier, is starting to press on Shane Ellis. So the real mover here has to be Pedro Migueles. So this is Pedro, remember, starting at the very back of the circuit, making his way all the way up to third, and now he's all over the back of Dirk Gretschel. This is for second place, with Vizar only 3 seconds up the road. And the best lap times are going down. Best lap so far, Pedro, 207.138. The next nearest is Vizar on 207.743, so that's a clear 0.6 seconds ahead. If Pedro can make this move and get ahead and get some free space in front, he's got a very good chance of closing down on Vizar, who is much closer than he was, only a couple of laps behind. And that's a great move, just nice and safe, good late break, and we've seen that a couple of times already this evening. Surprised, I guess, that Dirk didn't go a little bit more defensive and force him to go on the outside line, but clean nonetheless, which is great. And now Pedro should have the bit between his teeth to try and chase down Vizar. So keep an eye on that. That's 3.6 seconds, the gap between Vizar and Pedro as it stands at the moment. And with 46 minutes to go. And now the fight back starts as Dirk starts to press Pedro. We are 15 minutes into the race, just a quarter of the way through. No incidents, no crashes, couple of minor spins, but all collected, and everyone still racing. Always good to see. As Vizar is on lap 7. Movers and shakers, where are we then? So Dirk qualified in first, currently in third, so he's dropped a couple of places. Great racing at the first few laps, and then just Pedro too fast. And picked him up. So Vizar qualified second, now in first, so he's on the move. Baba Ganoush qualified third and had had a spin we saw, and now is in 8th, so he'll be frustrated. Still pressing, I'm sure. Marco qualified in 4th, and Marco is currently running in 4th, so he's got to keep his head down. Mad Al was in 5th and he's dropped to 7th, but he was lower down, so he's making his way back slowly but surely. British qualified in 6th and are currently running in 5th, so good progress there. Cos qualified in 7. Cos has dropped right down to 12th, so he must have had a bit of a poor start, some situations I didn't capture. Varley qualified in 8th and is currently running in 9th, so small drop. And Shane Ellis was in 9th, currently in 11th. Charger in 10th, but this seems to be the Charger way. Qualified in 10th, and he's up in 5th. So consistent and good safe racing, I guess, and that's how it worked last week. As we drop back into the field to take a little look at this battle, we have Phil Varley, Gabsy, British and Shane separated by Nat Whisker up here. This is starting to close in as this pack starts to group up. Gabsy qualified in 11th and has made his way up to 9th, and Jason Burley in 12th, currently running in 13th, but the mover obviously is Pedro, who is still 3.6 seconds from Vizar. They will be watching that delta like a hawk every lap. It's turning into a little bit of a three-man race at the front there with Vizar, Pedro and Dirk. And in the, I guess the second tier here, from 4th onwards, it's Marco, Charger and Madal. Bubba Ganoush, Varley, Gabsy, British, Ellis, Cos and Burley. Gabsy looking to put a move on Varley. Remember, Gabsy was running a bit higher up the field earlier, so he has a fair chance, as long as he's not picked up any damage, that he can make this move as he closes in. Nope, one pit stop so far. I can see Jason Burley has already made a pit, and has Cos. I guess they must have taken on damage or some issues, so both Jason Burley and Cos, running in 12th and 13th respectively, have both pitted already. And interestingly, when I run down the timetable here, one of our top 3 racers is wearing hard tyres compared to the soft compounds, and that's Dirk Gretschel. So that suggests that Dirk might be trying to run long for his first stint, to make a sprint finish, if you like. As we watch Gabsy trying to widen the corner there to get a good run on Varley. I think he might make this stick, and an early defensive move there from Varley. Let's hope for not too many other moves as he claims the space on the inside, but Gabsy's obviously been invited to overtake him on the outside, and now it's just a case of who can make this move stick. Actually, I think Gabsy was cautious there. He had the chance, but he's seen the undercut. So he's taking the opportunity, but no drive, not enough drive there. In the meantime, British is catching them up. So British has dropped to 10th. He must have had a bit of an off, which I missed. Apologies. So British and Gabsy probably on the move. Given that British is now in 10th, I fancy he'll be wanting to make his way through this pack as well, as these two continue to fight over the Moraine sweep. Another undercut. That's a really nicely executed undercut. He surely got the inside line for turn 6, this left-hander here. No point in making any mistakes there. Phil looked like he might have run a bit there, maybe had contact. He went a bit wide, but Gabsy's made that stick, and now BG British is starting to look at it, but there's no giving up. Varley's not giving this one up. He breaks extremely late into the left-hander and makes that stick. Fantastic. Varley, great work cornering on the outside there, as this battle now starts to heat up. And this is the difference, you know. You get a little bit excited when you get wing to wing with somebody else, and at this point you just got to keep you calm and make sure there's no contact, and it's all done cleanly. BGB British looks like he's had the invite now. These two tussling has given him the run, and he really made that one stick. He's got to stick it up here if he can, but it looks to me like Gabsy's going to keep that defensive, makes that car as wide as he can, as these three tighten up under this race, which is great stuff. So we're in car with Gabsy, looking out over the back wing to see British weaving on the exit, and in car to see if we can make this braking manoeuvre stick. Just as a run, not quite. There's just not enough toe here. There's no gap, so it would be an impressive overtake if Gabsy could make it there. Close the door there in front. Great stuff. feathering the throttle. He probably could have got away quicker, but he had to be cautious. Great looking racing here. As you can see in the mirror, British starting to sniff around for his opportunity. It's not easy to keep it this clean when you're literally half a foot from the car in front and half a foot from the car behind. There's credit to everyone who's driving tonight that they can do that without just punting everyone off, as we keep our 100% success rate so far with 13 races finishing. He's gone for the outside line. We've seen him do this before. Didn't work this time. Varley keeping his defensive position on the inside, but this is where the cars slow down, when the driver in front continues to have to be defensive, continues to have to take the offline. You get low track speeds, low track race times, and you can get dropped as a group if you get so obsessed with your own. And that's outbraking himself on the outside, which, given an opportunity for Gabsy to slide it up the inside, he looks like he's made it count. Let's switch to the TV. Take a look at that. He's made it count. That was good. Just outbroke himself, I think, there, Varley, which has given British the chance, and you can see British is smelling that opportunity as well. Hovering around the back, British here all the time, I think, feeling like he might have a chance. I'm not sure that British is hitting the brakes there when Varley was. The doors open again on the outside. This will be a brave move. Squeeze. Oh, really great. Both of them fighting tooth and nail there to make sure they keep their position. And I think British has made that. Varley finally had to surrender it, and that's a shame. That was a great race between the three of them, but it looks to me like this might stretch out now unless something happens. But British now made his move on Varley. Gabsy in front. In front of him is Baba Ganoush. Seems like he's having a fun time on his own there, with Madal starting to pressure Charger here. So we're on lap 11. Vizar is the front, and update on the news is that while I've been twittering on at the back of the pack, Pedro has closed the gap from 3.6 seconds on Vizar down to 0.9. So now the race is really on. They've both dropped Dirk Gretschel, who is about 6 seconds behind them, with Marco all over the back. Oh no, Marco is 6 seconds behind him. So this is the race for the lead at the front. We're nearly at the halfway mark, so I'm expecting to see some pit activity. But remember what I said about Dirk, he's in third place with hard tyres, not soft. Anticipating, unless that's accidental, that's a strategy for a longer first stint. As Pedro makes himself very much known to Vizar. So Vizar's had a good solid race, started in second, made his way within the first corner or two into first position, kept it fairly comfortably. He's not extended it massively, but really the racer on the move has got to be Pedro. From back to second place and pressuring within half of the race has got to make you fancy him for winning this, unless he makes a mistake. Just clipping back here to check Madal and Charger in a battle here, as Charger tries to make the move. Keeping my eye on the leaders at the front there, but Charger I think is not going to be able to make this stick. He doesn't have the run. And Pedro is coming in for his pit. Vizar staying out on track with Dirk Gretschel in second now, and Pedro in the pits. Where will he exit? It looks to me like Marco will be passing him any second. And I think that's Jason Burley in the pits as well. So Jason Burley looks like a retiree, our first retiree of the race, as we watch Madal and Charger battling it out. And somewhere on the right there, you'll see Pedro was still in the pits. Nobody else coming in at the pit. So that's an early pit stop for Pedro. I think he might be doing the classic undercut. So let's see whether Vizar considers his next... oh, I've seen Vizar is at the front. Yes, that's correct. And Dirk Gretschel. So Vizar, Dirk, Marco, Madal, Charger, Baba Ganoush, Gabsy, British, Ellis, Varley and Michaelis is now out of the pit in 11th position, being the third person to pit. So it's going to get busy over the next couple of minutes. We are 35 minutes left of this race. Yep, just going to track Vizar just to see whether he takes this opportunity to take his pit stop. Is our race leader, but not the first to pit. Pedro Migueles, who was definitely the driver on the move, has taken his early pit, and in comes Vizar. So big question is, and we'll track this round, is Pedro going to exit? Looks to be a long way back when you look at this position on the circuit. And is it possible that he's been held up at all by Varley and Ellis? I don't think so. I think he's catching them. He might get held up in one or two of the next corners. But we're looking at Vizar currently in third place as the cars go through. And Migueles trying to make his moves, getting caught up a little bit in the penultimate corners here, into Bill Mitchell Bend and then to the final corner for the final straight. So where is Vizar? Vizar still on the jacks as Pedro speeds up the straight here. Will he be able to make a move on Shane Ellis in front of him? It looks to me like Pedro's made that count. Still in the pits. Definitely still in the pits is Vizar. So Pedro, under his pit changeover, looks like he's made it. So interestingly now, lap 13, Dirk Gretschel is leading the race on his hard tyres. When will he make that decision? He is 7 seconds ahead of Marco, who is ahead of Madal in third place, who is ahead of Charger in fourth place. These are non-pit stop drivers. Pedro is in seventh place, having pitted and keeping that battle alive. Wow, that was close, as Shane Ellis and Phil Varley cross swords, as it were, and Pedro is in seventh still. Vizar out of the pits, currently in 10th. So the shuffle will start to happen soon, but the question is when will Dirk pit, and will he be able to make these laps count? So if we take a little look at Dirk's last few laps here, his lap times are in the 209s predominantly, dipped into the 208s at the start of the race. He was obviously feeling racier or quicker at the start and has dropped into a very steady 209 pace there. Vizar currently in 10th. He is in and out of the 7s and 8s, predominantly 7s at the start, some 8s, and then recently 9s, maybe tyres going off or rhythm getting lost. So clearly Vizar slightly faster. I'm kind of expecting that Pedro's currently in 7th place here. He's very consistently in the 7s. Lap 11 was not great, but yeah, very comfortably a 207 per lap, which is pretty much the best lap that's been struck out there at the moment. Only two drivers have made 207 laps. So we'll still follow Dirk Gretschel at the front. Other pit, so Vizar has pitted, Pedro has pitted, and they have swapped positions in that pit exchange. British has pitted and Cos has pitted. It looks to me like both Shane Ellis here and Justin Burley are out of the race, so that's two retirements, I think, at this stage. I'm not sure about Shane. That was just that incident at the final corner we see there. Charger now currently sitting in third. This happened last week a little bit, and found himself in third, thinking, I think, about whether to go a little longer on this first stint or not, tracking his own times, I guess, here, which are steadily 2:10s and a couple of 2:09s there. Again, most cars faster at the very start. So Charger in third, pressuring Madal. They had good exchange last week as well. Marco has changed tyres. So we're now left with the top 5 drivers: Dirk, Madal, Charger, Baba Ganoush, Gabsy, who are the only 5 drivers not to have changed their tyres just yet. Dirk now has a 19-second gap on Madal, so when he takes his pit opportunity, he's probably got, if my maths is correct, around around about 28 seconds on Pedro, currently in 6th, which probably is not enough, as we see both of these guys, both Charger and Mad Al, jump into the pit. So I'm going to check back here on Pedro to see whether he can make this. It looks comfortably like he's going to exit ahead of them, putting him probably in 3rd place, because I don't think Mad Al has made his move yet. Sorry, that was Mad Al that went in the pits. So now Dirk Gretschel moves, continues to keep the lead, and that is the gap is 29 seconds. Poor maths for me. Have to retest. With Mad Al in 3rd in the pits, Baba Ganoush is not pitting, so he's come through. So now we have the leader currently with hard tyres, worn hard tyres. Pedro on 3 or 4 lap old soft tyres in 2nd place with a 29-second gap. 25 seconds behind them is Marco, who has pitted. Baba Ganoush currently pitting as we do the shuffle. So you might ask, where is Vizar? Vizar's in 4th, and he is currently 40-something seconds back, which does surprise me, as he pitted. So that was a very long pit from Vizar. Not only did he lose the lead, but he looks like he's lost a considerable amount more time than your average pit stop. Currently running in 4th, 13 seconds behind Marco, 25 seconds behind Pedro, who has already taken a 1.5 seconds from Dirk Gretschel. So now is the time for Dirk to make that pit change if he wants to come out on fresher green tyres. And he is the only man, as predicted, who remains to have pitted. So we can see Baba Ganoush here starting to put the pressure on Gabsy, both on their new boots. This is the battle for 7th place. So we're over the halfway mark, 26 minutes to go. I think we've seen most of the overtakes so far happening in T1 and T5. Seen a couple of challenges at T12 into Canada Corner out the back of Kettlebottoms, but most of the moves seem to have been thrown into T1 with some good safe to overtaking there, and some late braking down the moraine sweep into turn 5. The gap now down to 24 seconds at the front. Let's move forward to Mad Al, who is starting to press Charger a little bit more. So Charger, who was running in 3rd place pre-pit, has dropped to 5th with Vizar, Marco, Migueles and Gretschel. So it looks to me, well, Marco qualified in 4th, is currently in 3rd, so he's made a good exchange there, but Vizar has obviously got to be picking the pace up here, because he was our 2nd place. He was our 2nd on the front row of the grid here, and he's dropped to 4th after a very long pits change, as Baba Ganoush looks to put it on the outside of Gabsy. No way there. So just the 2 retirements so far. It was too good to be true. Justin Burley, Shane Ellis out so far. We're on lap 17. And you join us with Dirk Gretschel out front on hard tyres. The only man not to have pitted so far. He's run 17 laps on these. And the gap when the 2nd place man exited or started to pick up the pace was 30 seconds. It's now 19 seconds. So lap by lap, Dirk is getting that lead eaten into, and he will have to pit soon. It's only 24 minutes left of this race. But interestingly, he's probably already thinking he's probably not racing with Pedro. It might be that he continues to race with Vizar and Marco, whom are some distance back. So if Dirk pits now and it's around about the 30 to 40 second mark, I think he might just make it out ahead of Vizar. But actually, really, Marco is the guy who's made the best, cashed in best on the pit stops there, because he's now in third from fourth, and he has 12 seconds on Vizar, albeit that 12 seconds looks like it's reducing lap on lap. We see Charger go defensive down the moraine sweep. This move's happened before. See him in the rear view mirror. Gives him enough room on the apex. Very safe. Charger remains defensive. Covers the apex really nicely. And just keeps Mad Al behind him. Difficult to capitalise on mistakes here unless those mistakes are made in the exit of a corner before a long straight here. As you could see, he looked like he had the run on him down into Moraine Sweep, but as 20 seconds later, and the gap's now half a second. But a good exit there out of the carousel as we go into the kink. Looks like he's gaining on him if he can keep his foot in here and make that precise, but it's never going to be enough, I don't think, down Cale Bolton's into turn 12 here. It's very difficult to outbrake each other. The difference between the drivers is not so big that you can actually stick it up the inside from such a big distance, and it would really just be a torpedo if you did that, which is most unwelcome. And actually very rarely seen in RW Racing Club. Mainly because everyone drives against the same principles of racing. It's all about racing clean first, making sure that you're not, you're as clean as you can in every move you make. Let's just track this. Got a good draft there. Definitely got the run onto the inside and very late on the brakes. Tries to keep the apex. The undercut is potentially on. We'll watch Charger here. Probably not got enough space there. So it looks to me like Mad Al might have seized that opportunity. Closes the door on Charger, and if you can keep it together, should drive away. Yeah. First and foremost, race clean. Make sure there's no contact. Make sure there's no torpedoes, no pushing of each other. Race fair. So don't cheat. Don't make life impossible for each other. But race for position. It's not about being just a gentleman's game. Obviously everyone wants to win, everyone wants to be ahead of each other, but it's in that order. You don't just take position first, you make sure it's done cleanly and fairly, and that makes for such great racing. Keeps everyone interested, respects each other on the track, and I've noticed as well, if there are issues on track, they're pretty much dealt with within a day. Everyone's adults in the RWB club. You can hear Charger keeping on and off the throttle there. Making sure that Mad Al knows he's always here. It's close, if you can get a little toe up here, there's a chance. So Charger, this is the fight for position 5 in the race. And while I've been talking, Pedro Migueles has taken the lead of the race from Dirk Gretschel. So Dirk Gretschel, while we were tracking that fight between Mad Al there and Charger, Dirk must have made his pit stop, and he has, which has put him in second place, but only a second or so ahead of Marco. But they're both running on soft tyres, so something's happened to Vizar here. He is closing. But I think maybe he's either gone off the boil or he's had some incident with the car, because he was fighting right at the front and gapping, and since the exchange there on the pit, he's not competing at the front anymore. It may get a podium, but he's now 11 seconds. Vizar is now 11 seconds adrift of Marco in third position. Marco will be very happy with this. But Pedro 30 seconds ahead of Dirk, and somehow after only 3 or 4 laps of this race, I think we probably already felt that that was going to be the case. So it didn't really matter that he didn't get his qualifying lap in. Pedro still made it entertaining for everybody by driving from the back of the circuit to the front, and I must say, very cleanly. Charger and Madal, this continues. Everyone has pitted. It's 18 minutes left of the race to go. Pedro at the front there, Dirk Gretschel in second. So both of whom were not in last week's championship race. It's actually British in 9th position who won last week's race. So it's Pedro and Dirk at the front with Marco in third. Vizar in fourth. Vizar did join us last week, but unfortunately had connection issues. As you see, Charger run a little too wide. I think they're on the kink. So Vizar was trying to join us last week, but couldn't because of technical issues. But now running in fourth. Madal, who had a ding-dong of a race last week at Suzuka, is now in fifth, with Charger behind, and Gabsy in seventh. 3 seconds ahead of Baba Ganoush, who had an exciting first couple of laps. He was qualified, I think he was on the second row, and just seemed to stall or just not pick up traction quick enough off the start line. Got swamped a little bit into T1 and T2, and then maybe just lost his rhythm and found himself moving backwards rather than forwards. So Baba Ganoush in 8th. British in 9th, had a great battle in the first third of the race, and then seems to have dropped off the pace at least 21 seconds behind Baba Ganoush. Varley in 10th and Koz in 11th. But Vizar is closing in. What we can see here, I think, is the gap is pretty much flattening out between Pedro and Dirk. So this is Dirk in second place, 28 seconds or so behind Pedro. Maybe he's made a second in that last couple of laps. At that rate, I don't think he would make this gap. He would not. He'd have to make way over a second a lap to make this count. Marco looks like he's getting dropped in third here. With Vizar closing in on Marco. So that's probably the race here. We're on lap 20. Vizar 10 seconds behind Marco for the last podium position, with 16 minutes left of the race and 2 minutes roughly per lap. I'm going to call that 7 laps to finish. 7 laps to make up 10 seconds. That sounds like a tough one to me. It's going to have to be a second and a half a lap, and if we take a look at his lap times, aside from the 3 minutes 16, that's worth looking at. 3 minutes 16, lap 13 was his pit exchange, and we saw Pedro's lap. His pit lap looks to be 2:44. That's a clear 20 or 30 seconds different. Let's look at Dirk Gretschel's pit change. Yeah, that's 2:42. So 2:40 should have been the pit change over time, but for whatever reason, Vizar's picked up 3:16, which is a good 30 something seconds. That's where his race was lost. But he's slowly closing in on Marco. I can't see, unless something drastic happens, that he's going to make this onto the podium, and Marco might be able to hold on to it. Interesting to see the best laps now. Pedro is the first driver to go into the 206s. He's just made a 206.927 on his best lap, and Dirk is starting to find his rhythm on these softer tyres. He's only slightly behind that with a 207.17. Those are the fastest 2 laps We have Visa in third on his best lap of 2:07.7, which is good 0.6 seconds off. But just behind that is Gabsy. Gabsy has put in a 2:07.7 as well, and they're the only drivers in this race so far to have made the 2:07s. When you look at, you can see the last lap from Pedro and Dirks were both 2:07. So it's not just about hitting that 2:07 fastest lap and having a blistering single lap. It's about keeping that pace high lap after lap. So running into the phase of the race where everyone's kind of found their rhythm. I think everyone's on soft tyres. We're in the final sprint in this last 20 minutes. We're at 13 minutes to go before the end, and there's no current on-track battles. Pedro looks to be running away with this. At the front here, fastest lap time currently, 30 or 28 seconds ahead of the next place man. Now my standard one lap behind the leader's wheel, just to see if there's anything I can learn from the driver. Yeah, so looking back through qualifying, Ganoush had a tough race, qualified in P3 with a 2:07.4, and I think maybe just been struggling to keep that pace. Take a look at some of his last few laps here. Yes, I think it's just a little bit of inconsistency. The times are ranging a little bit too much. Found some great rhythm straight after the pit stop here. Got 2 or 3 2:08s on the trot, but not come close to his quali pace. I guess that's just weight of car. A couple of 2:09s and a 2:10 in the last lap. It's not his deltas between his fast laps and his slower laps is a second and a half, 2 seconds, whereas at the top the guys are running probably less than a second deltas on their fastest laps. That might have been the difference for Ganoush tonight. These are still being held here around the 10-second mark off of Marco, who continues to get dropped by Dirk Gretschel in second place, who just about holds on to 28-second gap to Pedro. No racing anymore at the front. But the race between Charger and Madal may have come to a conclusion as well. A little early to say that, I know. It's 10 minutes left of the race, but these two were pretty much hammering it at each other lap after lap, and it looks to me like Charger has just drifted off the pace a little bit, 2.1 seconds behind Madal, with Gabsy only 2.3 behind him, so this is probably the most tightly packed group on the circuit at the moment. So we're effectively racing the second race of 4 in this series, using the C-Class, the V. Oh god, I'm going to get told off if I try to do the accent. Wettbewerb. AMG Mercedes. We started in Suzuka last week, Road America this week. Next Friday the 28th, it's Spa. And the final week will be on the 4th, I think it is, in Dubai, in the Autodrome. A short series, nice little short series, but always good to have a single car class. It tends to leave you just down to the basic variables of racing, which is how you set the car up, how you run a race strategy, and you, obviously. And what we've seen so far, I think Charger has run a very similar race to how he played it last week. Qualifying a little lower maybe than his race performance. Let's call Charger the Saturday guy, or the Sunday guy I should say. His quali is never as quick as his race performance, which always tends to tell you that, you know, good racecraft knows when to push, knows when not to push, keeps safe. This gap here is getting closed. Gabsy is driving down Charger, and Mad Al is dropping Charger, so it's possible that we might see a change over here. Dirk Gretschel still 30 seconds from Pedro, and Vizar being held by Marco as well. So this looks like the top 4 or 5 is settling, but it could be that Gabsy starts to make a move on Charger here over the last 8 minutes of this race, which is no more than 4 laps. Definitely closing in. Games simulates racing very well, that the cars are getting lighter as they lose fuel through this race, but the tyres are getting tireder, and that balance of performance on the circuit for a single car shows a steady decline in the lap times. Most of the last laps put in were 2:09s. Pedro put in a 2:08, but pretty much everyone through so far, with the exception of Gabsy, is in a 2:09, and Gabsy made a 2:08. So again, late push here from Gabsy, man on the move, might be fancying his chances with only 6 minutes left of this race to catch up and pass Charger. Remembering that Gabsy did qualify 11th with a 2:11, so not on his peaky finest, as he's putting in a 2:08 quite comfortably here, and definitely putting Charger under pressure here. No change at the front. Dirk still getting, only just being able to hold it. Oh, you see a slightly different line there, giving a possible launch opportunity for Gabsy, but unfortunately he had to come off the accelerator as he ran too wide. But it was a very different line into there. You can see he's pushing really hard now. I guarantee he didn't come off the throttle for that corner. 2 laps remaining, maybe 3 laps. Interesting, as Gabsy done enough here. Got a good exit, ran wide, he's got the draw. Charger went defensive, now he's taking a safe line. Sure that's enough. Let's watch it from the TV. not enough, but he knows he's there. Yeah, it's great to watch. Always wondering when the right moment is to make the safest pass if you fancy yourself. Charger, who definitely has a reputation for playing a great defensive drive when needed. Maybe missed his apex there, but it's not really a passing corner this. Had to come off the throttle there. You could hear Gabsy having to come off. He had the run, but there was a car in front of him. I was about to say every single cell in my body is hoping they don't make contact with each other. I think they might have rubbed a little bit there, but you see a really different line from Gabsy. He takes a wide line and then gets an early on throttle to try to open up the apex. Carries a lot of pace in there, and I think maybe cautious of going off track, might have rolled a little bit of throttle off there and lost a little bit of time on Charger. Places are still static in the top 5. Pedro winning the race, Dirk in 2nd, Marco in 3rd, Vizar in 4th, Mad Al in 5th, Charger in 6th, under heavy pressure here from Gabsy. Two minutes and 40 seconds to go. Great racing to finish off the evening. So we started with 13 races. We lost 2. We lost Justin Burley and we lost Shane Ellis. These two are hammering it together now. Gabsy trying to get 6th place from Charger. Charger, who finished 4th place in the previous, and it looks like a spinner up front. That's Vizar. Charger is now pressing Vizar, so Vizar's going backwards here. I think he must have lost it there, so Vizar going backwards slightly, holding it off. Now he's got himself in the mix here with 1 minute 27 to go. Never take your eyes off this race. So we have Vizar now, Charger in the front, having claimed a space from Vizar, who must have span, and Gabsy all over the back of Vizar, sniffing his opportunity. This isn't the moment to lose it. We have 1 minute and 12 seconds of this race. Charger's inherited the position. Vizar will be very angry with himself, so angry that he drives right off the track, and he'll be trying to make a move as quickly as he can on Charger. Charger not going too defensive here, keeping out of the battle here, trying the undercut. Looks like he's going to make that if he can keep his car wide on this left-hander over the hill. Vizar keeping it defensive as well, hoping that nobody collects each other. So Charger reclaims from Vizar that place, and there's contact between Vizar and Gabsy right at the end there. That's a real shame. Gabsy had been racing so cleanly up until that point, and I think maybe Vizar was a little too pushy on that exit, closed the track width there. So it looks to me like this could settle. We now have only 20 seconds of the race left. I don't believe we have the race leader has not finished the race here. Going to keep on Vizar. He's second behind. That's a real shame for Gabsy there. That was a great looking race between the two. But it looks like it might settle out if only Charger can keep himself in 4th position, which, like I said, was where he finished last week as well. So Vizar having a bit of a nightmare. Very, very long pit stop tonight, and an off in the very, very closing section of this race. As we start to watch Pedro, who has been frankly imperious in this race, from the back of the track to the front of the track, with 40 seconds gap on Marco, who is in second position. And what happened to Dirk Gretschel as well? So Dirk Gretschel in that final closing section there has managed to get himself in seventh. Pedro goes over the line for first position. Visa closing in on Charger in fifth position as we watch the leader win the race. Marco in second with 39 seconds to go. At the moment, given how this race is going, anything can happen right now. So from a very comfortable first and second from Pedro and Dirk. Now Dirk is in eighth position, going backwards. I can't see any damage in the data here, but it's really just Visa has been dropped by Charger. So you can see Visa here getting dropped by Charger, and it's actually Gabsy now pushing for that place back. Man, he'll want to get this place back if he can. Into the penultimate two corners, I should really be watching that. I think it's not going to happen, I don't think, for Gabsy here. So back to Auto Director. So we have Pedro has passed the line. RWB Marco in second place. He'll be very happy with that. Mad Al in third. That's great racing as well. Charger in fourth. Visa in fifth with Gabsy right behind him into sixth. And Baba Ganoush back here in seventh. And Dirk Gretschel in eighth position, 3 second adrift here from a comfortable first into the second third of the race, I should say. Running a long strategy, which seemed like an ingenious idea, only to have some issues in those last couple of laps. We're watching British, current championship leader, who is going to finish in ninth position, ahead of Varley. Finishing in 10th with Cos at the rear in 11th, two retirements, Justin Burley and Shane Ellis. Well, pretty much the same that happened last lap. We were settling into what looked like the top 5 finishers and then British span in the final lap. But in this case, Pedro was imperious, definitely racer of the day, and Visa got himself out of second place, third place I should say, fourth place, and drifted out. But it was really Dirk Gretschel that was the main loser for tonight's race, comfortably driving at the front two cars for most of the race and then having an off, which I, as the amazing director producer, missed. So thank you very much for watching. You're looking at the final scores there on the doors, and that will be so you'll be able to see on Race App who the championship leaders are. My maths isn't quick enough to do it on the spot for you. Looking forward to Saturday's races. Obviously the endurance racing is still going on, and some great races coming up on Saturday as well. So great racing. Thank you all and everyone. And if you're feeling a little bit lonely in the week and you fancy driving on your own, don't think about that. Make sure you drive with us, keep it clean, and race with RWB. So cheers, and I'll catch you later.